the beauty about a virtual assistant is that you can design it in a way that works for you.
Hey everybody, Daniel Ramsey here with MyOutDesk. Now I've got a friend, Cecil Cummins here, and today we're going to talk about him and his business and what he does. What I love about this guy, he's an international traveler. He's done some YouTube stuff that just blows my mind. And what I really love about him is he's a real estate guy like me at heart. So we're going to talk through all that stuff. Cecil, thanks for being here today.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Oh, okay. So wait, you and I have a long history. We've traveled around the world a couple times together. It's funny because I'm in this group, a men's group, and Cecil, I'm super jealous of him because we're traveling around, and this guy gets to go everywhere. And the women are just like, I love Cecil. My wife loves this man. And I'm excited because he said, hey, I'm a client now. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're a client? And so I'm just thankful that you're here, and I'm excited to hear your story and also dive into like how you impact the world and do good work.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, I'm very excited to be here. And it's funny, and I'm sure you'll probably dive into these questions later, but I would always do one-off projects with virtual assistants on Fiverr and Upwork and things like that, and it worked, but I just needed some more consistency. And so finally, when I got to place in my business and I jumped over to MyOutDesk, it's just been incredible. So I'm very happy to be here, very privileged to be able to be on this call with you, and excited to talk about the difference makers that it's been.
Awesome. So you're a vice president at Hyatt Commercial, and you primarily focus on helping business owners build wealth through real estate. Talk a little bit about that. And also what I love is you have a clear mission, which is unique in real estate. So let's talk through, let's give people a little introduction into who Cecil is.
Sure, absolutely. So for me, I'm all about passion, purpose, and results. My goal is to be able to influence economic landscapes of communities through commercial real estate. And so for me, when I got into this business, one, real estate was a vehicle for me to be able to build a life and a lifestyle that I want. It's also, a vehicle that I understand at a high level with a logical train of thought, commercial real estate speaking. And then being able to have purpose, right? Everybody talks about what's the difference between millennials and the other generations. Oh, millennials have to have a purpose, right? They have to be serving some greater thing. Well, I fit right into that cliche in the sense that it feels good to be serving that kind of higher mission. And I know we've talked offline a little bit, but being able to do a restaurant deal in a community and help really, like, you drive around the community and you see how much of an impact that restaurant being there makes on it. Which is really, really incredible. And my specialty is sales. I love helping business owners build wealth and invest in real estate. And I love just brokering investment sale deals, and helping people, level up their game with adding to their portfolio. And I love underwriting. I love problem solving. It's funny. President of our company asked me the other day because I was solving problems on this specific project. And it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm doing forensic accounting on the underwriting, trying to figure out expense recoveries. And I don't need to go into those heavy duty details, but he goes, do you like forensic accounting? And I said, I could never do it as a day job, but I love solving problems. And I think that's really kind of the best way to sum up what I do is that, I solve problems. And I do leasing as well on the side, with people that refer business to me. I never turn down a referral, and I help, restaurants, retail stores, office, things of the sort. But my specialty, and I think where I can serve people at the highest level, really is in sales.
So, and you mentioned it, but you're a young guy. How long have you been a licensed broker? How old are you? And then how did you get started? What brought you to this game?
Sure. So I think I'm the last year qualified to be a millennial. I think that's 1995 is when I was born. There's probably a fluid break there because 96ers will probably want to be a millennial and 94s probably don't want me to be a millennial. But so I'm 26 years old, I'll be 27 this year. Hyatt Commercial, I joined November 27, 2017. And we are in February 2022 now. So I just finished my 4th year in the business, and I'm starting my 5th year in commercial real estate specifically. Before I joined Hyatt, I think I was licensed for 2 years, or maybe about a year and a half. When I was in college, I got my real estate license with a few friends actually with Keller Williams. Had a great experience with those people and that organization, and was buying small row homes in Baltimore City for myself. To start off my investing career, learned a lot of lessons. But then, through a lot of experience that I was getting in the field and different things, I ended up doing some consulting on economic development work. We can talk about that if you want, but essentially that took me in the direction where I knew that I wanted to get into commercial real estate, specifically down the road development and then a lot of investment stuff.
And what areas do you kind of focus? Give the audience an idea of what parts of the world you focus in.
Sure. So I'm licensed in Maryland. In theory, I can do a deal anywhere in the world. There's just, details on how you structure the way that we're compensated for our work outside of the state that I'm actually licensed in. But where I know the best is Maryland. And I'm based actually out of Annapolis, Maryland.
Okay, great. And so we want to kind of focus on the virtual assistant thing. It's really rare to have a commercial real estate broker at a high level using our virtual assistants. We have a handful, like out of, I think there's 1,900 virtual assistants. You're one of maybe 20 brokers that are commercial brokers. So it's a really small segment. Yeah, it's a really small segment. And what always happens is, I get on a call with a commercial guy and they or gal, and they always say, well, what is a virtual assistant? What can they do for me? And so rather than me telling them, I thought you could tell them, like, what's the best way for a commercial real estate broker to use a virtual assistant to help them grow their business?
Sure. Well, my disclaimer would be that I don't know what the best way is, but I can tell you how I do it.
Perfect.
I don't want anybody to listen as well. I do it this way, or he should do it this way. I think the beauty about a virtual assistant is that you can design it in a way that works for you. It's not like I don't look at it in a sense of like, okay, here's this box, and if you don't fit in this box, then it doesn't work for you. I don't think it's that way at all. For me, what I look at, and there's two tiers of people in the commercial real estate business that are successful. You have your one tier person that has been in it for a long time, and they're really old school, and they just have everything up here, and they crush it. They crush it. Frankly, I don't know how they do it, but somehow, some way, they can just connect opportunities, remember contacts, like have all of this information up here. And those types of people, I don't know if they would thrive with a VA or not. But frankly, I don't even know how they're thriving to begin with. It's kind of a freak of nature that they can just operate with everything up here. The second type of person is the person that utilizes a CRM, puts systems, infrastructure in place to be able to do, marketing campaigns, to, enter in data, put notes on people, really track clientele over long periods of time. Simon Sinek wrote a book called The Infinite Game. And, he just describes that as one that is never ending. It's not like a football game has a beginning and an end, right? For the Super Bowl coming up next weekend, we'll know that either Cincinnati or the Rams will walk away from that one with a Lombardi trophy. But in this business, it's, I could be working with a client right now, and we could be, really going nitty gritty, for 6 months, and then a deal just doesn't pan out and nothing happens. That doesn't mean that that's not a client or somebody that I'll work with in the future. I could revisit them in 3 years and we could do the biggest deal of my life years down the road. So the biggest aspect of this business, I think, is so important is being able to prepare for the infinite game and not a transactional game. And I think those have different approaches on CRMs, in general, but it's all the more important to really have a system that allows you to track all of the information that we take in on a daily basis on properties and on clients, so that we can serve them at a higher level in the future. And if we're not doing that, I personally believe that we are not serving our clients at the highest level that we could be, or we're not reaching our full potential. I really personally believe that. And the guy in this office that does an incredible amount of business, he's very good at what he does. He doesn't use the CRMs at all. And I tell him, I said, dude, I think if you use this thing, you could double your business. I really think you could. But at the same time, it just comes down to whatever works for you. And so it goes back to, what's the best way to do it, Cecil? Well, who knows if my way is the best way or not, but it's really been helping me and serving me at a high level. So going back to that question is, how am I using virtual assistants? So early on, I was introduced to virtual assistants on a project basis with Fiverr and Upwork and whatnot. And they were awesome for projects, right? One-off projects. You didn't have to spend a whole lot of money hiring or anything of the sort. You can get a project done. And usually you can do a pretty good job and pretty inexpensively and pretty quickly. So I really started to realize the best ways to work with them, in the sense that you provide really clear instructions on what needs to be done, and a really clear vision of what needs to be done. And that was working well. And then I started to see that I was spending, a few $100s here, a few $100s there. That, there was months where I was spending more than $1,000 on, little project basis on virtual assistants. And I'm like, okay, now I actually have some money in the bank. Now I'm actually really closing some deals. It really takes at least 3 years to build up a business in commercial real estate. Last year was my biggest year ever. I did more than the first 3 years combined. So there was, it was really, really special. And so coming together second half of last year, I knew that if I wanted to scale up this year, and really towards the later end of last year, but then scale up this year at even higher level, you have to do something different than what you were doing before. And so to kind of come full circle, when I went to MyOutDesk, my goal was to have somebody to come in and help me manage a lot of the nitty gritty details and administrative components of this business that need to be done, but aren't making me more money in the short term. And I say in the short term because a lot of those things will make you money in the long run. So it's still worth it doing it, but it's really not a revenue driving activity. An example might be, putting in contact information into your CRM of the 30 people you talk to that day and writing in notes. That's going to serve you at a high level down the road, but that's not making me money right now. So if I have 17 other deals in motion right now that I need to be working on, or I need to be prospecting or something of the sort, spending time doing that administrative stuff is taking away from my ability to make revenue in the here and now. But I also need to plan for the future. So when I brought on virtual assistant with MyOutDesk, my thing is I needed somebody that could specialize in and understand at a high level, a CRM system, being able to navigate Salesforce. Specifically, I use Apto by Salesforce. And I needed somebody that could navigate our marketing materials platform to help generate drafts of flyers. I don't have them create I don't have a marketing one. I have the administrative person. But the administrative persons can still help inputting all the information for the marketing materials, and then we'll have a graphic design person finish up with the graphics and whatnot. I'll have them, build out drafts of email marketing campaigns where they're not designing the template. I had a graphic designer design the template, and then I have the administrative assistant just putting in information into the template every time I need to send out an email blast, which saves me time. Every time I close a deal, commission vouchers are going to be completed by them. If, sometimes there's very little inventory coming on the market. Sometimes inventory is insane. Usually when new properties come on the market, I try to, look at all the nitty gritty details myself and better understand it. But when so much is coming on the market, you just don't have the time and bandwidth to be able to really look into seeing what's coming on and seeing if any of your clients match up with it. You have all these automated searches that are set up and you just start getting blasted. So I have these systems where I have a template form where I send them the property that just came in the market, and I have them fill out all of the information on the template form about the property. And then they'll send it back to me in a one pager, and I can quickly in 30 seconds, look, is this going to be a fit for any one of my clients without having to do all that digging myself? Let me see here. Research.
Well, I love where you're going.
I can keep going.
Well, I like what you're I want to sum it. I think what it sounds like is running your CRM and doing all the administrative tasks. That's your highest and best use right now. How much time do you think you're saving having that person in place so that you're looking at a one sheet, not running your CRM, not inputting details into your stuff? Like, how much time do you think you're saving?
Well, I think there's two answers to that. One, the answer is, what was I doing already that I could fit within my bandwidth? And that's saving me that time, right? But then the second thing is, what was I not doing that I wanted to be doing, but I just couldn't justify taking away time from revenue producing activity to do it? Right. So I'm probably saving 10 to 20 hours a week. However, the other 20 hours a week is not just lost time or time out of nowhere. It's time where they're dedicated to helping me do things that I wasn't otherwise able to do before. I'm using every bit of 40 hours. And I only did the 6-month contract at first. And I think that already renewed. It might have about to, but I'm renewing because I literally, I was just like, I don't know. Like, my fear is, it's like, what if I have a whole bunch of tasks up front? And then, 3 or 4 months in, I realized they're only working 10 hours a week. Well, I haven't gotten to that point yet at all. In fact, I still have a long list. And so it's again, probably at least 10 to 20 hours a week of like the necessary administrative things that I had to do that I just couldn't get away from. And then probably another 20 hours a week of things that I really wanted to do, but I could never justify spending the time to do it. And then it would just, and that, the value in that is just so much greater for me personally, because if I know that there's things that I could be doing to increase my business, or increase my revenue, or like better administratively or indirect ways of increasing revenue, after a while of putting it off, it'll really start to weigh on me,
Yeah.
and because I'm not doing those things. And, comes a point where like, okay, well, do I want to just work more or something like that? But then, time is our most valuable asset. And I think for me, over the last couple of years specifically, I started to slow down and enjoy a lot more things about life besides just work. And I still work like crazy, but I don't know, it just gives you an opportunity. Not only are you saving time, but you're just taking pressure off, because the things that need to be done are getting done. Before, I might go through a whole week and there might be 10 hours of administrative thing that needed to be done that wasn't able to be done, and then 20 hours of stuff that I wanted to be done that wasn't able to be done. And I would be going into that weekend with that pressure, just knowing that was there hanging over. And I would be able to get to a point, maybe meditating or something, get to a point where I'm okay until Monday, but then starts right back over Monday. And it's just like, so the pressure that is taken off, knowing that these things are getting done and the time saved, I think is just as important.
Yeah, that's cool. One concern that a lot of our clients have is that upfront training period. And like, I think you understand technology and being in a virtual world. But a lot of people struggle with they're not going to be in my office. I can't meet with them face to face. How long is it going to take me to teach them? I mean, Maryland is different than Sacramento, where I am, and California. So like, a lot of people struggle through that. Tell them your experience with hiring a virtual assistant, selecting them, getting them trained. How long did it take? What did it feel like? And what best practices might you share?
Sure. Well, one, I mean, I think you guys find great people. So I did 3 interviews, and all 3 of them were very smart. And one of them I thought was going to be the best fit, and she's been great. So that threshold of having somebody who's at least qualified to be starting is I think really important. I think a lot of times on those one-off sites like Fiverr and Upwork, you're relying on reviews, which is great, but then the ones that are the best typically are either the most expensive or just don't have the ability to give you the time that you need or deliver when you do, because they're the best on those sites. So for having that foundation there was key. So Jermaine Serrano is the person I work with. She's fantastic. And so when she first came on, she already had a base level of understanding. I think part of that is her past experience in other roles, and I think part of that is a training program that you all take them through. So I think that was key. But in terms of the training that I had to do for onboarding, I essentially had 3 or 4 major tasks that I knew that were going to be ongoing over time. And so I just did a Zoom video of me doing it. Because everything that I'm asking them to do, I've already done myself. I just did literally a Zoom video, and I talked through every action that I was doing, just doing the entire thing. And then had them, watch those videos and then ask me if they had any questions. And honestly, really, like, she picked up really quickly. And I don't know if it's all because of the video I made, right? No, but no, obviously not. But she picked up really quickly, and every once in a while there will be something where I'm like, okay, this is something that we need to work through. We need to dive in. Okay, what's happening here? How can we, adjust this? But really, that's just a result of me not giving proper instruction. And so I think it comes down to when she first started, the major tasks that she'd be doing on a regular basis, I did, very detailed. We're talking like hour-long videos going through the entire process of what it is, and different components, so they could watch that. And then anytime I send over a task, if it's something new or something where there's not like a really solid training video for it, I will do a very detailed bulleted list of, hey, here's the goal, here's the purpose, here's kind of why I want to do this, and then here's the steps of how to do it. And then call me if you have any questions, text me if you have any questions. And we correspond on WhatsApp all the time, and via email all the time. And we'll send videos back and forth on WhatsApp, and things of the sort. And it's funny. One other thing I didn't mention that was not something I planned on having a virtual assistant help with, but it's been great, is, everybody knows you have technical problems with your CRM system all the time, even if it's as robust and incredible as Salesforce. Every time they go through a stupid update, I think there's a problem. So one of the great things is she's been able to help correspond with customer service for me, handling some of that stuff. But I'm just like, it's just so great to be CC'd on an email and not have to worry about it myself.
And not be on hold for an hour.
No kidding. No kidding. So I think for the training components, creating really in-depth videos showing it, providing really, really good instruction, but then also having somebody who already has a foundation. I think one of the other great things about MyOutDesk is, there's been a couple of instances where she hasn't been able to figure out something, and I was trying to understand how to explain it better. And she goes, well, let me go ask one of the other VAs, that we work with or whatever. And she asked one of the other ones, and next thing she comes back an hour later, she goes, oh, I talked to one of them. I have the answer. We're good to go. I'm like, okay, great. Because I didn't even know where to begin on how to answer your question. I wasn't sure. And it wasn't that I didn't know how to do what she was doing. I was just trying to better figure out how to, relay the what I needed done or something. So that was a great resource as well.
That's cool. What advice would you give other people who are considering hiring a virtual assistant, like as they go through the process? They've never hired before, as we kind of wrap up, what advice would you give to someone?
I think what's been really helpful for me is to have, like a few consistent things that are done on a regular basis, so that there's something that, they're always checking. Like for me, like she does my expense tracking. She doesn't do my bookkeeping or my accounting. I do that. That's something I'll probably need to outsource later, but I'm still a little control freak on my numbers. But
Yeah.
she does my expense tracking. So I have a platform that receives all of my receipts and then sends that over to my bookkeeping, but she's the one who processes all the receipts. I say that only in the sense that that's one of the continual tasks, right? I have a few other major tasks that she'll do. So what I would say to recommend to anybody is have a few long-term tasks that are recurring, or long-term projects that will just take a long time that aren't a high priority. And I say that because there will be instances of downtime with the urgent tasks, and you always want to have them working on something. And so those long-term projects and the recurring projects are really good in case there is some downtime with the more urgent stuff. And that essentially allows all downtime to be eliminated. And then in terms of the urgent tasks, you have to just figure out a way that works best with them on terms of managing those. And typically what I'll do is, and I say urgent, I'm talking your daily emails that I'll send over, like, hey, can you help me out with this? Hey, can you help me out with this? I'll write the priority level in the email. Hey, this is higher priority than this, lesser priority than this. This is higher priority than this, lesser priority than this. Because sometimes on the longer tasks, sometimes they're more monotonous. Sometimes they're just looking to, shake things up a little bit. And so they'll jump into those immediate tasks. And so it's important, I think, to communicate what the priority level of each one is. Let me think, any other
No, I think those are
videos.
Yeah, those are lovely, man. That priority thing is unusual. Most of our clients don't understand. Like, we're entrepreneurs, so we understand the priorities. We know where revenue is and where a nice to have. Like, I'd like it done, but it doesn't have to be done today. So I think giving a virtual assistant like a priority understanding that's a master skill that a lot of people don't understand in leverage when you have employees. So it's kind of a cool thing that you articulated that. All right, man. Well,
again, I was going to say, what's funny is I learned that from being an assistant myself from McCarthy. And you could tell McCarthy this because he would just throw so much at me, and I would love it because I would just take it in stride. But I started to have to realize, I'm like, dude, do you want me to do these 17 things or this one thing that you just threw at me? And he's like, oh, let's see. And then we literally would have to prioritize himself, because sometimes it's not even us as entrepreneurs and business owners, or if our thought process, we can understand, all right, this is important, this is important. Sometimes there is gray areas where, like, hey, there's like 6 things that are really important. Which one do you really want me to put ahead of one another? So that priority thing is really, really important. And McCarthy, I learned that from him.
We're gonna we might name this like assistant to commercial real estate broker to having an assistant, the full journey and how you can succeed too. I don't know what we'll call it, but I think that's perfect. Well, Cecil, again, you're doing fantastic. Like I said, I've known you for a long time, and it's cool that you had your best year. It's cool that you're a client and you're doing so well. And I just appreciate you sharing today, man. It's been great.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's been awesome, Dan.